So, there are two Stephen King adaptations. This movie and It. There are also two Idris Elba's movies. This movie and The Mountain Between Us. Alright. The Dark Tower is another Stephen King adaptation, and it basically tells the story of this boy named Jake, which basically has his dreams about this world that he created, which the Dark Tower, which is the biggest symbol of his world, if that is destroyed, the world will end, and he thinks it's all real. Until he found out it is real, he was into the portal to that world, and he meets the gunslinger, played by Idris Elba, and they both have to stop this man in black, played by Matthew McConaughey, from destroying that tower and destroying this world. This movie, I was actually pretty interested. I'm gonna be honest. I was completely interested in this movie, and I think Stephen King is probably one of the best horror authors working today. I think his books, even though they're really old books, they're still scary till this day. My favorite Stephen King book that I read, and I'm really excited to see this year, is It. So I'm basically excited for this movie, because Stephen King adaptations, most of the movies weren't that bad. Like, I love Stand By Me, I love The Shining, The Shawshank Redemption, but there are some bad ones, like Cell. But this movie, I'm interested. This movie looks like a fun popcorn movie. When I walked out of it, I was a bit disappointed. Like, I wouldn't say this movie's bad, I wouldn't say this movie is terrible, I wouldn't say this movie is like abomination against humanity. I would just say this movie is just average. The biggest positive I could give to this movie is Idris Elba as the gunslinger. I think he's one of the most badass actors working today, and he is good in this film. I think he's the best part of the film. Even this boy, Jake, which I don't know his name, he surprised me. I thought he did a really good job in this movie, and there are some aspects of him that I might feel for him, because he's really, really good in this film. Let's talk about Matthew McConaughey as the villain. Alright. I think he did a fine job. I wouldn't say he did the perfect villain job, which I do have a flaw with the villain in the movie, which I'll explain in the flaws later on, but Matthew McConaughey, he's fine, he's trying his best. The action scenes are fun to watch. They weren't bad action scenes, they weren't as memorable, but I think they're fun. They're fun action scenes. But I think the biggest problem I could give to this film is the rest of the film. Like, the first 20 minutes of the film, it sets up well. And the movie starts to get very average and interesting. But then when the second half came in, the movie starts to tear it down a bit. And I think that's the main issue with the film. I think this movie is a bit boring. Like, even though the action was entertaining and Idris Elba did a good job, even Jake, I just don't think the second half was that great. Like, the final act was fine. The first half of the movie is probably the best part of the film, because I like it when it's setting up. But then, like, when the part when Jake gets into the portal, it's like the movie starts to tear down a bit. Let's talk about Matthew McConaughey as the villain. Now, I said he was good in the film, but his villain, we don't get much story of him. He's just like, I want to destroy this tower. You don't get much backstory with him. It's like you're thinking why he wants to destroy the tower. He never explained that in the film. And that's a really big issue with villains these days. They don't explain why they're doing things. They just do it. But, yeah, the villain of the movie, it's kind of a bit of a mess. And this movie is surprisingly short. This movie is 130 minutes long. My god, this movie is really short. Like, this film could have been longer, I reckon. Like, it's like with other movies, when I talk about movies from 2015, I say the flow of the movie is a bit too long. Now I have a flow with this movie. It's a bit too short. Like, this movie could have been a bit more longer. Like, it could have been more entertaining. But I think this movie is a bit rushed, actually. It's like, they had to make it that short because people hate long movies and people will get bored in them. I wasn't bored in long movies as long as they were good and kept me in. Like Lord of the Rings movies, they're like 3 hours long and I always get into them. This movie, it's like, it's so short, it's like you wanted more from this movie. And that's why I'm pretty disappointed in The Dark Tower. I wouldn't say it's a terrible movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie at all. I'll just say it's an average movie. Like, you can go in this movie and you just expect it, alright, this is a fine movie just to watch one time only. Overall, guys, this movie is a bit forgettable for me, but it was alright. I'm gonna give The Dark Tower a C+. I'm gonna pray that It will be better than this film, because I wanted It to be good. I don't want It to disappoint me either. So guys, have you seen The Dark Tower? What do you think of that movie? Comment below. Let me know what you think. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. And have a nice day.